constructed and that sanitary sewer extended. In a nutshell.
When are you going to start building on these lots?
I think
The equipment is there.
Yeah, I think yesterday they were really
Okay.
really pushing. So,
And when are we required to have this extension done so that you can build on other lots?
it'll be part of the whole construction. I think you're talking about
Starting on the 18th.
Yeah, starting on 18th. And maybe I should step back. The first part of the project being constructed will be the extensions, and then 3rd Avenue and 19th Street will be the first construction.
So as we go further, like this south or whatever like that, that's when
Yep.
we need us sooner, but.
Well, we'll need you right up front.
We're expecting to do that this fall, next spring?
This fall.
Immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are doing it, and then you're charging us, is that what's happening?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, 50, well, that's how the development agreement was drawn up.
I just want to
Similar.
make sure that all of a sudden they don't come back and say, hey, you guys haven't been out here and done nothing.
No, I mean, so they are responsible for bidding it and hiring the contractors. So
That's all I was,
if contractors aren't working, that's their problem.
okay, that's perfect. I like that.
That's Bruce's problem, specifically Bruce's problem.
I'd like to keep it simple, stupid
I'll tell
type
you how excited
things.
they are. I drove by there about 10:30 this morning, they got 2 dozers sitting there ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Engines running?
Got the engine room.
Okay.
Any further questions for Wayne or Bruce or?
Any other comments about anything? I included, it would be your second sheet back there, but threw in there some costs that we could expect. Broken down into what Wayne described as getting those public utilities in the proper locations and to the south side of 18th Street, a cost for that, and then plus a cost of what we could anticipate for the construction of those utilities within the subdivision. But keep in mind, I don't know if you have a final cost yet or not from any contractors.
Working on it.
We're working on that.
Getting close.
Okay. So I
But
included.
when we put the down 18th Street, we couldn't put it on the south side.
No.
No,
That
I
was
did.
not our ground.
You know-
Those people were fighting, so we had to put it on this side. It's not like the city screwed up by putting it on the wrong side. is all I'm saying.
No, because that was very early on when I started with the city. Everything on the north side is basically what Rich Jensen did when he platted. So when that was put in, the sanitary was put down the center line of 18th Street. South side, there was no interest in developing at that time.
No?
But in order to alleviate a problem like today,
Right.
we just anticipated what lots would be and where streets would be. So some of that stuff was stubbed.
Right.
Now they've been able to utilize a large majority of those sanitary
But it's
services.
not perfect, just like we've always done.
Yes. So that's why there's some modifications too, because now some streets have been shifted, some lot widths have changed. So in order to make the public utilities work with the locations of those streets, that's where we have to get involved in.
But what I'm saying is there's no error by the city when we did it.
It was all a guess way back then.
And we couldn't do anything on that side, and we couldn't even plat the
Yep.
south side at that time because it was not controlled by anybody that wanted to develop it.
Yeah. In fact, you didn't put the curb and gutter on the south side. That's part of this project for that very reason. You know, why put it in when you don't need it?
Right, because we couldn't, well,
Yep.
it was gonna cost money, and then we were gonna do ag deferral for 35, 40 years, and
Yep.
we said that's not gonna work.
Correct.
So we've been through a lot on those streets, but we didn't do anything incorrectly that we had to dig up. We just are now trying to finish it, right? So basically, they're gonna finish it, and then they're going to basically bill us for our share of that cost.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Should mention that the zoning board approved, you'll see a series of motions here, and they did their job, asked the right questions,
Good.
as they always do.
Yep. Good. Thanks, Ken. Real good.
The only one I had was the signs, it says no signs, as in no signs. So if somebody's a beautician or something, they can't put signs, they're cutting hair.
Oh, you're talking about the covenants?
Yeah.
I done the covenants for the ponds.
No, I'm talking about just a sign in somebody's house that says, oh, we're sharpening blades, or we're cutting hair, or whatever.
No, I evidently did not address that in there.
It just says no signs, period.
Yeah.
It allows for political signs and stuff like that.
Well, didn't.
For sale signs.
Yeah, but I just thought that that was something that, usually it goes back to the board or whatever. And the board would approve it, just like you're doing with the pools, I guess. If somebody puts in a pool, they gotta get it approved. I just think maybe you wanna look at that, but it's nothing here, it's nothing from us, it's just something I know.
Okay,
There seems to be a lot of people that cut hair in town and sharpen blades in town and different things.
Bruce, I just want to share that I want to thank what K&S has done over the years, you and Mark and your partners, as far as housing in this town. It's really been an asset to the city of Lamar's, as you people as a developer, one of the developers that's got Lamar's is where it's at. So thanks again for what you're doing. Okay, moving on. I entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 20-30, approving the final plat of KNS 4th Edition.
Is there a
Second to the motion?
Motion made and second to adopt the resolution 20-30, approving the final plat of KNS 4th Edition. We have a roll call on that, Beth?
Donlin,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Goodchild,
Yes.
Wick,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Motion to approve the restrictive covenants for KNS 4th Edition. I entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and second to approve the restrictive covenants for KNS 4th Edition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion to approve the development agreement with KNS LLC.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Motion made and second to approve the development agreement with KNS LLC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion to establish September 15th, 2020 at 12 o'clock p.m. as a public hearing for rezoning KNS 4th Edition from R Rural District to R1 Residential District. Second to the motion.
Motion made and second to establish September 15th, 2020 at 12 p.m. as a public hearing for rezoning KNS 4th Edition from the Rural District to R1 Residential District. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.
I think you can push the pedal now. And go.
You can get those caterpillars.
Signature
Those are moving.
at some point on the agreement.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the Anthony First Edition Final Plat. On August 11th, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved a final plat of Anthony First Edition. The final plat consists of 5 lots, which 3 are already built on, and a copy of the final plat is attached. Any questions on any of that? The administration does recommend the approval of that.
Yeah, if you got any questions, let me know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's already 3 houses out there.
Yeah, lots 2, 3, and 4 already have houses on them. Lot 1 is an empty lot that's just not developed. And then lot 5 would be the only really new lot per se that's being incorporated into it. It's more of almost a cleaning house of the lot line, so to speak. Kurt, and Mike wanted increase the lot size of lot 4. That's where Kurt lives right now. He wants to increase it to allow him to have a larger garage. Does some lot line shifting. It's nothing out there as far as it's a gravel road right now. It's a private gravel drive, private sanitary and private water main. So there's no responsibility on the city behalf. There will be easement to allow everybody to get back in there as they always have. So it's
Still gonna be the gravel drive.
same thing.
Right.
No changes. no changes that way.
Because the reason for the gravel drive originally was to have another access point in case we had something going on back there.
Yeah, it's no change in that, so there's no anticipation of, it's not big enough for a city right away, so it'll always be a private street.
But every once in a while, there is somebody that pulls out of there.
Yep.
Okay.
Motion to adopt resolution 2031 approving the final plat of Anthony, first edition.
Is there a second? Oh, we gotta have roll call. Is there a second to do it?
Yes, I'll second.
Motion been to adopt a resolution 20-31, approving the final plat Anthony, first edition. Do we have a roll call on that, Bev?
Knapp,
Yep.
Goodchild,
Yeah.
Wick,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Motion carried. Bear with me just a minute here. I gotta misplace some. Yeah, this is all.
Right. Okay, all right, thank you.
Give me what you need.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda for the council is an easement request. The property located at 469 20th Street Southeast, that's owned by Kyle and Angela Hack, recently had a retaining wall constructed in the rear yard. The wall, which is roughly 5 feet at its highest point and runs the width of the lot, was built 8 feet into the 20-foot utility and drainage easement. The wall was constructed after the final occupancy was issued and a building permit was not required for the wall. The Lamar's Code of Ordinances, section 165.23, states that no buildings or structures are allowed on easements, utility, without council approval. The easement at this location does not contain any utilities at this time. The Lamar's Code Ordinances of section 165.37 addresses a process to remedy damage easements violations. The staff has worked with Hacks and Jerry Steffen and Wayne Schofield to manage the drainage by installing the intake and storm pipe approved. There's actually 2 recommendations, and one is to require the wall be removed from the easement and the easement be returned to the original design condition, or number 2 is to grant the permission to allow the wall to remain the easement, or property owners install the recommended structure to address the drainage and the property owners sign and record an acknowledgement that the city may in the future order the removal of the wall at the owner's expense if the easement needs to be utilized to access in the future. I'm going to turn it over to Jason because he can explain this a little bit better than I can, but we want to go at this on a business-like basis. So, Jason, if you'd like to comment on this?
Yeah, I think I became involved, I don't have the exact date, sometime in June, probably. So I don't know the exact time the wall was built, but that's when Greg let me know about the wall. We've met out there. We've had conversations with Kyle. Kyle's here. And Scott's here, Scott Petty.
Oh, okay, I didn't see Scott.
They're both here. So we've met out there. We've had discussions. Then it came down to, how does our code deal with it? And what I've got spelled out here is there are 2 sections that deal with easements. Point 37, like has been explained, it gives a process as far as drainage easements go. If there are violations or changes to drainage, it gives a process to which a property owner could come up with a solution, an alternate design to the approval and accommodate for any changes that were made and deal with the drainage. Okay? So that's what we've been going through. So that's what we've been basically addressing so far, is that process. And that's where Kyle has gotten Jerry Steffen involved as far as on his end to come up with some kind of alternative design of that drainage. As you all know, Scott was our city engineer. I'm not. So I had gotten Wayne involved on behalf of the city just to kind of check on our half, you know, how is Jerry doing, and kind of coordinate with Jerry to make sure the drainage solution is adequate. So we had that meeting last Monday morning to kind of go over that whole drainage deal. So I feel that section of the code and that process has been dealt with. I mean, there is a solution to that. But that leads us to today, where the other section, which deals with utility easements, specifically says it needs authorization from the council. And I've also stated in here, currently there are no utilities in there. It's platted as a utility and drainage easement. There are no current utilities. I feel once, if the drainage solution is approved and storm sewer gets installed in there, then in my mind it becomes an active utility easement, because then there is public utilities in there. So I feel even stronger that it would take approval to allow that to happen. I did not include pictures of the wall in here, so I don't know how many of you have been able to go out there and look actually what it is. It's a little more than just a tree ring around a tree and a couple blocks. Doesn't quite, I know I put in here, runs the entire length. It falls short of running the entire length of the rear yard. But it's a little more history. So I don't know if there's any questions. Both, like I said, both Kyle and
I was gonna say-
an adjoining property owner are here.
Yeah, they're
If you have
here, so-
questions.
Want to ask any questions, or feel free.
My question would be, if we allow this, you're gonna have 5 more lots. They're gonna look up there and see that line and assume that's their line too. So I think it's an ongoing problem, not one that we can just say yes and not regret it later.
That's why I also put in there, I don't know if I entirely agree with having a process or an out in our code of ordinances. And then I don't know if I necessarily agree with the utility part of it. How much do we want to involve the councils? Can it be resolved in here at either Greg's level or my level without having to come to council? You know, I can get into, I feel, I mean, we put utility, we have easements platted for reasons. And that allows cities and our franchises in town, as far as cable and those, to have a place to put things. Now granted, you know, there's varying degrees to infractions of that. You know, people put gardens, people put trees, people put things in easements. So this isn't the first time this has ever happened, but I think there's varying degrees. I just don't want it to become a repetitive and an issue that we need to deal with all the time. Or even if it's not if it's not Kyle living there in 20 years and it's somebody new, a wall of this size is going to cost somebody some significant amount of money to move it in the future if they had to. I would just as soon get the whole thing resolved before it becomes an issue. I mean, it's already an issue, but before it becomes an issue for somebody else. So, comes before you.
So nobody knew it was being built in the wrong place?
Well, that's what I tried to explain, and I'm going off of, like I said, I wasn't involved from the beginning. What I know is, the way I understand it, occupancy permit had been issued. Okay, typically that ends code enforcement's inspection of the house. At that time, according to what I'm understanding from Greg, the wall was not there. I believe there was a pile of dirt or something that I think Ryan Campbell, I think, who constructed the wall, there was dirt there, but there was no retaining wall. You know, once that occupancy permit is issued, I mean, typically there is no need for Greg to go back and look. You know, now that might not, Greg and I have already talked, this may cause a change to how we handle things. It may require that when a property, when an individual comes to get a building permit to build a home, not in all cases we don't require that they give us a final property grading plan.
Site plan.
Yeah, we don't, in most cases, we don't always require that.
Nope.
We may have to. And then as part of the final occupancy, we may have to make sure that what you told us you were going to do, you did.
Yeah.
So structures like this, we may require that they get put on a grading plan when that stuff is submitted. So there are no more surprises. So we may have to change how we do
That's for
things.
down the road. I'd rather
Yeah.
hear from Kyle about how he
Yeah.
feels that it's gone.
Okay.